All right, guys, we are back here live from New York with your Tavern Hero, and this is an amazing match by two crazy good players. We have
Yeah,
HC here taking on Wtybill, who actually qualified for one of the spring qualifiers, right?
I believe Spring Championships
Spring
was
championships.
when he top aided. So we'll jump into it right here. HC brings a pretty standard lineup. He brings Shaman, Warrior, Rogue, and Mage, with his Rogue being banned by Bill, and Bill brings Rogue, Shaman, Mage, Warlock. So,
Yeah, right here, Bill actually got a pretty decent matchup too. So able to actually, get out this mage against the shaman. Now, depending on what type of build the shaman is, if it has more jades, but we do see the lava burst there, so probably a bit more aggressive.
it's a little bit more aggressive. I actually had the luxury of like working with HC in the past couple weeks because we ladder and test for a lot of tournaments together. He really likes the more aggressive builds. Not super aggressive. You very likely won't see any Doom Hammers here,
hmm
but pretty standard, pretty standard lava burst Aya list that you'll see.
Now, what are you really looking for in this matchup? As the shaman,
As the shaman, you're
yeah.
looking to develop a lot of like early game minions because it's so underwhelming. A lot of your threats are very underwhelming compared to like Ice Barrier, like Nova and
hmm
Doomsayer and Reno Jackson, of course. Um, Reno Mage seems to be the favorite by a lot of people on ladder as a result because it gets access to block and Reno and all those cards. So it's really tough for all the other like archetypes that are looking to target Shaman and Pirate Warrior.
Yeah, I mean, Reno Mage has been performing rather well against anything that's aggressive.
Exactly.
Just straight up. And then it has the matches where it's bad is like things like Jade Druid and decks we don't really see that much.
Exactly. It's really difficult to target these because like they have so many options and they're just so flexible in their draws a lot of the
Oh,
time.
man, Kazakus is in hand too. That's gonna be, getting us a 5 mana potion in this matchup especially can be really like just swing the board in one turn, right?
Yeah, Bill is just looking to stay alive, and he has a lot of like ways to do that.
Yeah, I like this play here. Just getting rid of that tone goal, making sure the playing ton doesn't get a ton of value in these next few turns.
Yeah, you don't have to use the coin. You don't have to be like greedy and try and get out a secret beforehand. Like just keep hitting your opponent in the face, and eventually you'll get there.
This is good for HC though,
Yes,
you're able to get the pirates and like Patches comes in
being able to keep.
next to the flame tongue,
We
so
see a
that's like
little bit of a
awesome.
misstep here though by him. Like he doesn't play the Trog before his Overload spell, which is probably going to come back to bite him.
This might cost him a damage, and it can be pretty big,
Yeah.
especially when you have two lava bursts in hand already.
Especially
So
when you're like trying to get those last points of
you
damage
wanna you
to
wanna end the game next turn,
yeah.
like you're almost there, right?
So we'll see how. Seen Reno Jackson is the draw from Bill.
Ooh, so one turn off coin arena. So I mean, we might just see, we could just see the barrier come up here. We could also see Nova if he really wants it, but I expect we'll see something just like get. You also get to get ice block down. Number of things.
Yeah, it depends on like he is still overloaded, so there's a lot of leeway for Bill to just like play with his life total a bit. He doesn't really stand to die to many things. Lava
hmm
Burst Bolt is one of the things that would kill him.
Yeah, the burst and the bolt would do it. Here, what we're 2 damage off, I believe.
Yes, we're two
Yeah,
damage off with the overload pumping the Trog. So we see the overload
still would have
from
been
before.
1 damage off, right?
Yes.
So really close. You expect a Bill probably calculated that too before you know.
Regardless, players yeah, you see it a lot. It's probably just nerves.
And I think I mean, is this a turn where you're just gonna see Coin Reno?
Almost certainly. I don't. There might not be all that many better options. Like you could Nova to balance out some life, but again, he's still like under pressure from that lava burst bolt.
Sometimes it just feels like, wow, okay, I already used it, and the board I'm facing down is still gonna deal like 10 to 20 damage next turn anyway.
Exactly. If he finds things like Blizzard, Flame Strike after the Reno, that could be fine. But there's still like plenty of room for HC to pull this out through the Reno play. What is pretty interesting is the Courier in the Mage deck. That might be a little bit more of incentive for him to go Courier Coin Nova, just to get that extra turn where HC
hmm
might want to develop something. He might get a hero power out of it, and we already know that
And
Lava Burst
some of the
Lightning Bolt.
damage or
Yeah,
something too. Yeah.
if he would have been dead to it last turn, like he's still gonna be dead to it, but you can make a little bit of an assumption that he doesn't have it in hand.
Well, we're gonna
But
see Coin Reno, so
yeah,
Golden Reno Jackson gonna come on down, put him right back up to 30. Now this is, it's great to get Reno down when there's so many minis on board, but at the same time, It's gonna be even more damage coming
Yeah.
in right now too. Ancestral Knowledge, another card kind of popping up again in Shaman lists.
Yeah, Ancestral Knowledge is one of the better ones because of the Trog synergy, and just like being able to like find the extra damage between Jade Lightning and Lava Burst. There's a lot of way to just deal damage out of hand, and Ancestral Knowledge allows you to like pull out those lethal combos.
Now it looks like we are just going face here.
Yep,
So you played Reno Jackson, but you're already back down to 16.
has a plan. Smork, smork, smork.
We do have things like Ice Block here as well. Nova, you could also put the Berry if you want to get some usage out of it. You gotta get it down now,
Yeah, it's
right?
pretty safe to do so.
Yeah.
This is why a lot of the decks are playing Lava Burst, just to like combat Ice Barrier. And he could theoretically do it out of hand if he rolls like Spell Power Totem right now. Like maintaining that and drawing on the Lightning Bolt would be pretty good for HC. Healing Totem does very little, but it's still board presence, and I think that's very important going forward, especially with second Flame Tongue Totem in hand.
Yeah, it's a lot more burst potential you want to get out there. Do you think he's running like a Horse Rider as well? Maybe some sort of charge minion.
He might. Most Shaman decks have started to fall back on the Horse Rider plan.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of room for at least one of them if possible.
And Bill here, has Brand Kazakis in case he wants that.
Yeah.
But look at that. I mean, you have a Talon Shark that's can deal 9 damage right now with that buff from Flame Tongue. So you might really want to get something else down
He
too.
also he doesn't have block developed. He has Ice Barrier developed over it. I think if they were switched, he would go for it
Mm-hmm.
just for this capability of like getting deal 4 damage to all your minions and gain 7 armor. Like that's a good way to stabilize post
Still get one
post
potion
having
out of
block.
Kazakus here and play the block as well. So
And yeah, the issue with that I think is how do you win from that position? Like you develop this, but then you get popped, and then you have to like you have
we
to
gotta
like
get an
put
amazing potion.
yeah
You gotta get the right Kazakus potion,
yeah
right? You gotta get the one that deals 4 damage to all the minions.
and gains the armor afterwards.
Yeah,
I
so
think that's a pretty safe line, yeah.
I think I saw earlier, Cabal Chemist, people have been messing around with it, and it doesn't actually generate Dragonfire potion.
Yeah, we saw the E-Star, I believe.
Yeah.
Celestial posted that they
Well, we are gonna go Kazakus
oh
here, so HC might have enough damage here.
yeah. This is actually the 7.
So he has 24 health, right? That's what we're working with here.
Yeah, this is lethal. With the Flame Tongue and the Lava Burst. We also see Horse Rider. Not that it would be relevant. All it takes is for HC to see the math.
Oh. When it... Did he just miss that?
I believe so.
How much did we have total there?
26, I believe. It's 10, 13, 15, 20, 22.
Oh, that's gonna hurt. Oh, so you see the thing is here though, he probably thought it was block, right?
Yeah.
So thinking it's block, not being able to and didn't test it at first, therefore just missing,
Yeah.
dropping the match right there. Do you think he could have like at least tested it with one of the smaller minions first,
Yeah,
maybe?
it's definitely at least the appropriate order. If you have it like, especially with the clear that clean, like you might
Because
as well.
Tone Shark's always going face in that position, right?
Yes,
So and if you're already playing the Flame Tongue,
you might as well
you might as well
just check.
hit face with the
Yeah.
Tone Shark first.
It's really awkward ordering.
Yeah. And there we go. There's a
Yeah,
Kazakus
there
potion
it
to
is.
4 damage to all minions and gain 7 armor. So it looks like Bill's just gonna have to really rely on some of these high value cards that the mage has. Stuff like Alcatraz can heal him back up next turn too.
Yeah,
So there's a lot of stuff there.
He has a
Courier here.
he has a lot of room to work with from this
Yeah.
position. We actually see him going forward with that now. Like even especially now, we see that like now this Alcatraz theoretically could go on the offensive since he has like 13 life and block to work with. We've already seen both flame strikes. We've already seen a lava burst go down.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Do you feel really safe at that point? With you're at 13. Shaman still has been holding on to one card for so long.
well, I think the important part is like how heavily Bill has been tracking the cards before, because at
Mhm.
this point you can rule out the lightning bolt 100%.
Yeah, 'cause you would've been dead.
You would be dead, yeah. So it's things like that really carry forward. and it really solidifies like whether or not he wants to cast his Alex. He still has the option, like he still has Pyroblast in hand, and he has a lot of room to work with. So
So he's gonna
this
use
is
it to
still
heal
fine.
on up. Yeah, it's pretty safe. You have the other Kazakus potion there too to deal some damage, and the Pyroblast. So once you can get some, once you just clear off the
Yeah, once he
board,
gets
Alex
through
Raja can
these,
go face. Like,
and even so, it's just like he already has double Volcanic Potion. Like could, it's probably going to happen next turn.
so we do see HC just using the Lava Burst now because he rolled Spell
Yeah,
Power. So it's kind of just like making sure that gets a ton of value. Bill definitely probably gonna drop the block here, right? I mean, maybe like check with Courier, see what you get first.
probably. It's always best to just like be. It probably leads with Dragonfire Potion and Hero Power, which would be better than the potion because it maximizes your mana now that he's drawn the loot order.
Yeah, it says yes. He's actually just gonna go ahead and use a torch too. I like this line a lot.
Yeah.
You clear the board. There's nothing that can
There's no,
heal you
yeah,
next
there's no
turn.
single card that
Yeah,
does
you
it,
could draw
short of
into
second
double
ancestral
double,
knowledge.
something like that. But Small Time Buccaneer's not going to be the card.
Absolutely
So
not.
I mean, Bill just like stabilized really well. Well,
Yep.
unfortunate for AC, like in that one turn, not checking
Yeah.
the secret. But from here, it's all Bill's
It's
game.
the importance of sequencing in Hearthstone.
Yeah, you also missed that damage earlier too.
Oh,
With the
yes,
with the
yes,
Trog.
with the overload.
Yeah, so like
Yeah.
a few plays here and there that maybe needs to like focus a little bit. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously going against a good player, but yeah.
Tournaments are tough. It's what's important is just like to understand like even after one loss or like one bad play, um, to to just reset after a game. Like every game is different, and you have the
Yes.
capability to draw back and like
Huh.
maybe even reverse sweep at times. So I'd really like to see him like maybe like take a breath and just like focus on what he's going to queue next and like really think about
Yeah,
his
so I
moments
mean,
moving forward.
after that match, if you're Bill, you just get that win with the mage. Going up 1-0. What are you really looking to? Obviously, he's playing that Reno mage. I expect the Warlock's going to be like a Reno Warlock, and then Rogue most likely going to be Miracle. What do you think kind of does best against the lineup of HC
Against the
next?
lineup, now that he's gotten rid of the mage, like it's pretty fair. I think you just want to take it slow on Bill's side as well.
Hmm.
Um, the warlock is a very good matchup against the shaman, so maybe you want to lead with that. And we see that exactly here. Like you just want to get all the easy shaman matchups out of the way now, and that gives your rogue that much more games to try and like
So we
put
do
yourself
see
in a
HC, as you
position.
said, running a bit more of aggressive build, running that Doomhammer as well.
Yeah.
So that might be a match. Doomhammer might help here, a lot of potential bursts.
Yes. Yes. Especially versus warlock. Like just being able to develop on 4 or 5. Now that we see that he has the coin, is really flexible.
Pretty good hand
The
there,
the
isn't it?
one downside, like Reno Lux, obviously have only one ofs in their deck, but the acidic swamp ooze is very narrow for them to play around.
All right, so what do you go with here? Do you go with Small Time Buccaneer Coin Tunnel Truck or Tunnel Truck Coin Tunnel Truck?
I think in situations like this, like again,
It's gonna.
you
Oh,
want
just
to.
one. Okay.
He wants to be able to coin his Doomhammer, which allows his like mana to be a little bit more flexible. So
Okay.
we'll see Totem Golem into Tunnel Drog Buccaneer into
Oh,
coin
even
Doomhammer
has
on
the
4.
Rock Biter too, so
Yeah.
it's gonna have a ton of bursts like available in these next few turns. Has good minions to play, be able to coin the Doomhammer like you said. So over these next few turns, HC is gonna be able to develop a really strong board.
Yeah. This is also a nod to if he wants to play this heavily into Doomhammer, it also might mean that he doesn't have Flame Wraith Faceless in his deck.
There's a card in Bill's hand that we haven't seen in a while, a Sogoth.
Sagath, yeah.
Yeah.
That's really tough to get to if you're a 2/1
It's
pirate.
pretty good, right? I would love to see that one come around as
Yeah.
well. Isn't a card that we've seen a ton in the meta, but every now and then it pops up in a tournament list.
Yeah.
Pretty strong in this meta though. Like
Sagath,
pirates and
yeah. Once you've
everything.
actually stabilized, I
Yeah.
think it's pretty fair. Any taunt that keeps them like on only burn spells to get you dead is fine.
We're just gonna tap there. It does next turn have be able to play the Drake or something like that. But very soon there's gonna be a board you might have to respond to. So maybe we can see like an early Hellfire come out later. Because right here is HC. You do have the option to kind of play some minions. You can play Town Truck and Small Time Buccaneer if you really want to. You think that's putting too much on the board, or you think that's being good?
I think the tap is kind of daunting
Okay.
on Bill's side. It means that he understands that he's like ready to take a few damage, even like regardless of this board. So he might play around a little bit of AoE, which you see here.
Yeah, still holding on to the Buccaneer. Maybe trying MC Tech. There's also
Yeah,
stuff like that. You really don't want to throw everything at the Reno
MC Tech's
lock.
fair. Demon Wrath is also a fair consideration. Um, like as big of a meme as it may be, drawing patches, like it's also pretty negligible this early into the game to hold your pirates and try and snipe something down. So we almost certainly see here that he's going to coin Doomhammer. I think it's very flexible, or he might try to use his J
And
lane.
Bill did draw the Reno there, so is able to have access to that to Giant Heal, especially against Sean. It's going to happen here.
Yeah, yeah.
This is one of those things. It's like, when does HC actually get to Rock Biter the Doomhammer? Well, we
He
see he's not going to be able to because the sick Swamp is going to come down immediately.
yeah.
But that's sort of what you're thinking is like, when can I really squeeze out all the damage and surprise Bill?
With with the taunt, I mean, some players might even take the consideration to keep Doomhammer to coin to get the value out of Rockbiter, but I think it's best to just like go for it.
Mm.
He also has Lava Shock in hand, which gives him a lot of flexibility. It means that he won't get punished by the Overload if he does have a six Swampos. So I like being aggressive this way.
Well, even if Swampu's here, there's still a ton of damage.
Yeah.
Like, even without the Doomhammer, you have Rockfire and Lava Shock. So, yeah, so he's actually going to go with
Yep.
the Shambler instead, recognizing that, hey, even if I play the Swampoos, it's not really doing me a ton right here.
And this. Oh,
How much we got here?
it's two off lethal, I believe.
Yeah, if you can Lava Shock and run Rock Biter.
Oh no. And with the
So,
Buccaneers one off, right?
it's one off, right? With
Yeah.
patches. Yeah.
It's really unfortunate.
So kind of really close. I definitely expect Reno is coming out this turn though.
I mean, it's just sort of a consideration you have to make. Like, you have to acknowledge that Reno is a card in the deck.
And sometimes you can't afford to play around it,
Yeah.
right? Against when you're playing against Reno Lock, you really just have to be like, okay, this is my one opportunity to actually win the game
Yes,
here.
between being able to draw the card and being able to just like deal that extra damage and get the damage next turn by having a minion on the board, I think it's still fair. It's unfortunate, but
You
it
still have to use the
happens.
Doomhammer here, get all these charges out and just actually control the board a little bit too.
Yeah.
Sometimes the Shaman, even though they're playing a little bit aggressive, they also want to make sure the board is theirs.
He's still eking out a lot of damage through this Doomhammer, and this Swampos is very
Not
underwhelming
gonna do
as a
anything
result.
now,
Yeah.
really. It's so funny when you add Swampoos in this deck, and then you don't even play it
Yeah,
when
yeah.
there's the best weapon
The
in the
best,
game.
yeah.
It's like, I have better plays than this.
He just MC techs. Probably waiting for a second Doomhammer, or maybe a Jade Claws. But this is looking very underwhelming. Like, especially now we're getting into the points where he can just like play Sagoth.
And you can play like a Pistol Enforcer here,
Yeah.
play Sagoth the next turn. Yeah, this is just looking really, really good for Bill right
These are
now.
the really overpowering terms that Bill wants.
Yeah, especially when you run like a greedier list, which adding Sagoth, and you get to this point in the match. Feel great. And right to HC kind of recognizes that there's not really a way to come back from this without your Doomhammer and everything. So,
Very, very close
Bill
game.
gonna go 2-0, playing very well.
Very well.
Like, oh my god. The mage game especially, and that warlock game too. We kind of saw like, a lot of players would have played Swampus on those turns. The Faceless Shambler that he played,
Yeah.
super important because he recognized the damage. Like, this isn't actually
Yes.
going to prevent any damage.
The important part is that he prevented the damage that Doomhammer would have dealt while also progressing the board, which I think is really important.
Exactly.
Yeah, identified exactly when he needed to tap and how he was going to like progress, building up to the Reno. So
Now this is gonna be a little bit tougher of a matchup though, because the Shaman does very well against Rogue.
yeah,
Sometimes they just have no way to really defend against any of the aggression.
especially with the Doomhammer. Now that he has coin, I would have liked to see we see that he has the Doomhammer, but I really like being able to coin Doomhammer once you've cleared up the patches plays.
Bill does have something in the early game though. He has Small Time Buccaneer, has a second one in hand. If he runs into something like Edwin or even like a Tomb Pillager, that counterfeit coin might be
Yeah,
pretty good too.
those are one of the better ways to just like maintain pressure when you're on the play. You see the same thing here, just like maintaining the board, not getting antsy, just keep your resources in check. And how does HC respond? Oh, bit of a misstep there.
Go
He
ahead. Oh, so he
yeah
didn't check the
yeah he
overload.
didn't check
Yeah,
his own overload.
this is unfortunate to see a player like HC,
Yeah.
making these mistakes, like bring out the coin right there. Oof.
Yeah, AC a really prominent ladder player, but I guess tournaments have a really mindset of just like being in
Yeah, you're also on
the
stream,
things. Yeah,
so it's not every day that like there's this much attention on you while you're playing Hearthstone.
yeah,
And that was something like that's big for Bill, especially in a matchup like this where he's,
yes,
not necessarily
especially.
favored at all.
Not well,
Because next
yeah,
turn you could like coin Doomhammer, you could
yes,
on a
yes,
play
yes,
like
yes.
that. So.
The coin is much more important than throwing it away for nothing. And we see here now like another he'll be overloaded with if he chooses to cast the Feral Spirits this turn. I think as a result, I would have preferred to just like Hero Power and Flame Tongue. Like Flame Tongue is kind of underwhelming here, but it's also underwhelming in the matchup. So if we're going into the Doomhammer turns, I would rather just have the Flame Tongue already present in there.
Oh, so Bill picks up a little bit of burst too, getting that
Yes,
Wappa burst. That is, when your hand is Leroy, Cold Blood, Evis,
it's an
you're like
interesting card to prep, don't you?
you're
Yeah.
like, okay, I might have to just burst you down somehow. A lot of times I find like after Burgo I'll get Wind Fury, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Leroy, and that's just like Shamans never expect that one coming. But yeah, looking at just the way this match is going, Bill gonna have to use some of his resources here, using the Evis, taking out one of these Feral Spirits.
Yeah, this is still very close. This because strictly because Bill just like isn't drawing threats, I'd say.
Yeah, and
Um,
you do have to get their health down a little bit before you can play Leroy and provide a lot of
yeah,
burst, right?
you
You're
still
not
need a
gonna
little
burst
bit
them
of.
down from 28.
I think once he draws an Auctioneer or maybe an Azure Drake, things can really start progressing like solidly in his favor.
You might have to give up some of your health here too. You can just take out the minion. Other options would be like lava burst, but it's
I
kind
think
of tough.
I think taking out the minion hero with your dagger is fine. Like 18, like considering he hasn't been playing all that aggressively towards the board at this point, it would be fine to take an extra 2 damage just to like have it clear. We see he's gonna lava burst here, just like free turn to do so.
Yeah, it's not even necessarily the damage, but it's also just like getting flame time off the board.
Yes, yes.
High priority minion to eliminate. Doomhammer here though is rather nice, and it's gonna go straight to the face, especially
Yeah.
when you have Rockbiter in your hand too. So we could see HC could even put something together next turn. Ancestral knowledge could really bring something, possibility,
Yeah,
right?
this is still a very live game. And now that he's overloaded, this Edwin has a little bit less room.
Now that the rogue is overloaded. Yeah. Oh, what do you see here though? I mean, it's a little tough, right?
It might just be that you have to just go for it. You can see just that, yeah. You just
Because
like
you're
set
gonna
up.
be able to get the damage in here, and it's not immediately apparent that the shaman can deal with Leroy without using their own face,
Yeah,
right?
it's a pretty interesting one. I think this is fair. You Finley and there's a lot of outs for lethal, and there's not a lot of like range for.
Steady shot's pretty good here.
Yes, but you can just clear
You
the
can Fire
Leroy.
Blast and yeah, clear off Leroy
Just
as
set up
well.
inevitability. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean you don't want to like actually leave it up just for the possibility. I think Shaman here though, HC's in a really good spot.
Yes. Despite those early missteps, like this is still almost certainly his game. Next turn.
Well, here we go though. We're gonna see. We
Yeah.
are probably gonna see a pretty big Edwin at
Yeah, we're
least
gonna
come
see
out
some
right here.
fireworks now, hopefully.
You could even play the Tomb Pillager as well, Sap, and play the Edwin.
Yeah, he doesn't have to know that Rockbiter's in hand, but he does have to maximize the damage that he'll deal in an effort to win the game.
Yeah, you're talking about killing you over 2 turns or 3 turns or
Yep.
maybe in 1 turn depending on what you draw, right? So there's the potential there, but as we do see, double
Yeah.
Rockbiter in hand for HC, so that is going to be this game. A tough matchup for Bill with that Rogue.
Yeah.
Shaman just once you go quick, Doomhammer, it's kind of like game
Doomhammer
over.
is very, very good in this matchup. Uh, you guys just take a break. Yeah. All right. We're gonna.
Well, no, we're not gonna go anywhere. We'll just like, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, so as we get prepped for the next game, I think AC is actually going to take a minute to just gather his thoughts.
Yeah.
It was a really tough match. You see number of errors. Coining out.
Yeah.
We saw the missed damage and the missed lethal, right?
Yeah.
And over multiple games, not even just one game. So he hasn't been able to even get over those like past mistakes.
So
So you really need to just like think about it a
I
little
think
bit.
I think it's very smart of him to take a break like that. Most players will get frustrated and get tilted, and they'll try to progress, or they'll try to just like get the game itself over with quick. But he understands that he has to play this game optimally, so he's just gonna take a
Yeah,
break,
just like take a
take a
breath.
second,
Sit out,
focus.
stretch a little bit, like have a drink.
The
You know.
concept of a tournament meta. I mean, like most people in Hearthstone are like either playing on the subway or they're playing at home, and like
Or they're in bed,
yeah,
pretty
like
cozy
the
on the
concept of a
couch.
tournament is very daunting if you haven't played in any before.
Yeah, no, we've seen players get on the big stage and just fumble through their
Yes,
appearance
yes.
there,
Time and
right?
time again, it happens
Even
all the
on like
time.
BlizzCon stage or something. I mean, this is even smaller of a stage, but still like being playing in front of people
Yeah,
and their your play is just out there and open critique and everything.
and it's important. It's an important tournament. Like Tavern Hero going forward, like it qualifies you for the qualify for prelims.
Yes, it's interesting they like kept the whole structure of the Tavern Heroes
Yeah,
alive
yeah,
while actually shrinking down the number of people that qualify overall
yeah.
for the prelims and everything.
I think it's good. I like the idea of both introducing people who don't have the opportunity to ladder as much and giving them an event that they can qualify for prelims and make it to the big stage at their own discretion. And also it builds community. It lets people like it lets you see the people that you've been playing with online in person.
Definitely, definitely. And we've even seen players, from the Tavern Heroes in the past actually qualify for
Yep.
make it through prelims, make it for the championships. So that's happened before. It's anybody can really do it, and
Yeah.
it's kind of those cool things like the story and the narrative of HCT that really Blizzard does keep alive throughout
Yeah.
the year.
Like time and time again, like you'll see like you'll be the best in your group of friends, and then suddenly like you're like I have to branch out. I
All
have
right.
to
Well, I
move
think
on.
we're gonna get back into the match though.
Yep.
Let's get back into this one. AC took a tiny little break just to get his thoughts together after we've seen him kind of struggle, and hopefully a player of his
Sorry.
skill level can really come back.
Yeah.
All right, so you got the win with the shaman. Now you have your warrior and mage left. You're going against Bill's rogue. So both matchups might be pretty good here. Warrior can really do a lot of good stuff against rogue.
I think you want to continue with the aggressive strategy that he has. Like you just want to get the easy matchup over with, and like you have a bit more information about what type of rogue it is after not seeing questing adventures. So I like being able to lead with pirate warrior here.
It's 2-1 right now in the favor of Bill. So definitely like a pretty close one. Gets the Nizav's first mate off the
Yep.
first card. It's great just to establish that presence.
We see double backstab, however, through from Bill, which is going to be really good for just like cleaning up the board and like making sure that he stays alive long enough to get into this auctioneer, as
Oh,
well
you
as the buff to
also
Edwin
yeah,
that he
you
just
also
drew.
have Edwin there too. Is there ever a time where you just don't play anything this turn in the hopes of like making your giant Edwin the following turn?
I think you get a bit of room to make plays like that. Like you still get the like if you want. It depends on where you want to cast this Edwin. Doing it on turn 4 to get the Buccaneer in play is kind of awkward because you take so much damage going forward. But I think I like saving at least one backstab.
Okay.
Because then coin backstab Edwin, it still presents you with a 6/6. It still contests Frothing Berserker,
And
contests
you can kind of kill
Blood
anything
Subcultist.
that comes out the next turn
Yeah.
if they can't clear off the Buccaneer. So
The one downside is it doesn't develop your dagger, which would have been important if you wanted to develop something this turn. But we see on a clear board, he might be so far to go. Here, it's a little bit underwhelming because you don't get the backstab. 4/4 certainly is a 6/6, so he'll just dagger and pass.
yeah, sometimes you feel a little pressure, but you're not feeling too pressured to actually coin out the Edwin right there,
Yeah,
right? This is a really nice turn from HC though. Able
yeah,
to upgrade, actually make the Corsair only 0 mana, and get a pretty big buff on the Raider there.
yeah. This is one of the ways to make this Edwin underwhelming because now even if he gets a 6/6, now he can just ignore it and hit him in the face a
Yeah, you
bunch.
just go base is gonna have to trade into everything, and the 6 ends up not really going the place it wants to,
Yeah,
which is the face.
it'll be interesting to see how he responds.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
really tough to deal with this 6/6 at this
you
point.
might just have to backstab and shiv.
Yeah. Which reduces the value of this Edwin almost entirely because now he has the option to coin the Drake.
Shiv is a card that's been flexed in and flexed out a lot. I wonder kind of what he's cutting to make sure there's room for it.
It might be alluding to like the fact that there's Malagos in his list as a win condition. We already saw the Leroy though, so it's still pretty interesting. He maybe just wants more cycle since he is banning the Rogue Mirror. He might want a little bit more attrition
Hmm.
and focus on being able to draw more cards for your control matchups. and now he's gonna forego the Edwin plan altogether and just like play the Drake, which
Yeah,
is
and
good.
I expect HC to just continue to go face here.
Yep.
Like once you get Reaper up, you bring him down to 7. There's so many cards off the top. Even in your hand, you
Yeah.
have the deckhand. So you have Celsi already for that win condition.
Why deal with the board when you can just hit your opponent in the face?
Bill's gonna prep and hope to get something out of this Fan of Knives.
Yeah.
We do actually see a questing there too. So he's got a lot of interesting cards in his deck. Making I don't know how he made so much room for everything.
Yeah, I think going forward, a lot of these lists have actually cut SI Agent
Mhm.
in the past couple of weeks for the questing adventure, which also helps it helps suggest why he would have the Shiv and because you want to cycle into more cards so that your questing
Yeah,
adventure could be a little bit more
Qu-
flexible.
Questing Adventure and Shiv really do
Yeah.
great things together. You just need to keep cycle because sometimes you play Questing, there's nothing out there,
Yeah.
and then if they kill it, you just lose, right?
It's like a 2-mana auctioneer.
Yeah. All right. So it's gonna be tied back up to 2-2. So AC taking that small break, just won 2 matches in a row,
Yeah.
and to finish it off, we're gonna have the Mage taking on the Rogue. This is a matchup that can go really either way.
Yeah, it really hinges on the back of like those questing adventures and Edwins because once you develop a really big early threat, it's tough for them to both deal with the board and keep their life total in check and win the game on the mage's side. So
Sometimes mages they have so many strong cards, but do they have those strong cards at that time? And we see here
exactly.
kind of heads up at HC, he realizes that Polymorph is a card in this matchup that's gonna go a long way.
Yes.
Even like Polymorph and like a Tomb Pillager sometimes is like the right play.
He keeps it in conjunction with the Reno as well. So even if he takes a big hit, like you can just polymorph it, get rid of a threat, and then put yourself in a position for Reno
Now,
and be comfortable.
on Bill's side, what are you really looking to do? In sense of just is it really just about like establishing your minions, or how you really made that big Edwin, as
Yeah.
you said?
Making a big Edwin, Tomb Pillager on curve is going to be really good, so he's really going to like accentuate that a lot of the times. The rest of these spells are very underwhelming though. So like backstab loses a lot of value because
You
it
might
doesn't
just have
really
to cycle
cycle.
here or something because you really want to start making sure,
Yeah,
like play the fan here, make sure you draw some more cards.
Phantom Knives on curve here is actually the best that like it generally gets for the rogue. Um, the only downside is that he doesn't get to redagger, so it'll be awkward for him going forward if he does draw those minions. That's a pretty easy turn. Just develop a 5/4.
I mean, the 5/4 is great here, and you got to play it on 4, got to play on curve. At the same time, a little underwhelming start for Bill because like you really want to put on a little bit more
Yeah.
aggression against this mage.
Altogether, absolutely underwhelming. Like he still has 3/1 drops left in his deck that aren't on the board. We see the Buccaneer here, but theoretically, like if he draws patches as his next draw, like it gets it gets a
And
lot more awkward for
HC
him.
feels like he has a lot of time here. Just gonna go ahead and intellect there.
Absolutely, especially with the barrier developed already. He already has Alex in hand, so that's a little bit more incentive for him to keep the coin, just as like an option to have a win condition. But this is very very efficient for him. Second Tomb Pillager might be a bit of a wrench in those plans. Depends on how much pressure that Bill can develop.
Yeah, I mean, you saw the intellect there, digging and not being able to deal immediately with the pillager. So you probably feel like, okay, I need to turn on the gas a little bit with the second one.
Absolutely.
And pillager's a card that like when you're playing against shaman, they'll play a hex on it,
Yes,
just because
yes,
of
yes,
the
yes.
tempo that is afforded.
That coin going forward is very important, both for the auctioneer and for the questing adventure. So Tomb Pillager has a lot of versatility. It's one of the stronger cards to be introduced in the rogue.
Let's go ahead and play Nova here. Prevents some of the damage. Doesn't want to take up to 13 damage next turn. So 14 damage with the dagger as well. So just making sure there. And Bill, lots of spells with nothing to play.
Yeah, it's really underwhelming
You
for
really want
Bill.
like an Azure Drake there. You really need an Auctioneer. That's the thing that's really gonna let you to get to the late game.
As good as the board has been here, with double sap in hand, it's looking pretty underwhelming for him.
So HG's playing Ink Master as well.
Yes.
So the card with Kazakus has a lot of potential.
Yeah, especially with like if you just go for the 10 mana spell. We see like HC has somewhat of an underwhelming hand as well. I like playing the Thalanos here if he's going to Arcane Explosion, just to like get that little
When are
value.
you getting better use out of your Arcane
Yeah,
Explosion?
it also
than-
cycles
yeah.
as well, which is important. It occupies his dagger. Like he has a lot of life to work with, but he still needs to find his win condition.
There is an Azure Drake though. Pretty good draw for Bill. You could go for something crazy here.
Yeah, this is gonna be a good big Edwin turn. I think.
You could definitely go for it.
Do you sap instead? Oh, you see he does.
Yeah, I mean the question is, okay, what else are you sapping here, like in this matchup? A lot of times, this is just an opportunity for you to really go for this giant Edwin and try to put a lot of pressure on.
Yeah, this is very good for him. We see that he kept the polymorph, so it's not going to pan out. But if there were a line to actually just like go in and win, you want to do it in as few turns as possible, and a 14-14 Edwin certainly does that.
Yeah, there's no, you know, you don't see the ice block up or anything either, so you kind of feel like, okay, all right, let's go for it. There's a polymorph though.
Yep.
Kind of put a wrench in his plans, and the Forgotten Torch is going to come down and clean up the board as well. HC is really starting to stabilize. You know, we
Yep.
see the Kazakhs in hand too with the Ink Master, so that's something you might want to do in one of these turns coming up.
It's looking very good, especially with Reno still in hand. Like, it depends on what he draws going forward, but I think he has a lot of room. He has several turns before he's actually like in a threatening range.
I would say it's really, you know, Auctioneer's probably going to be this one that decides this one. If
Absolutely.
you can draw now, oh, so Medivh's Valet.
Yes.
It's an interesting addition as well. Haven't seen that card really pop up a lot, you know, since like maybe some aggro secret mage, like, but not in the Reno list that much.
Neither have I. I think I like the card in sort of a tournament series. There's a lot of opportunities to play against the mirror, and just like presenting a 2-3 or versus Reno Lock or versus Reno Mage is a good clock to like just keep things in check. Keeps the board in check versus Pirates, which you know that sometimes you're going to see versus Shaman.
Yeah, Bill there drawing the backstep, so really unfortunate draw. I mean, what are you gonna do with this hand? Yeah, you can take out the 2/3, but you gotta think about, okay, I need my auctioneer
Yeah,
right now. Like I need something to actually progress this game.
I think this is a pretty clean turn from HC as well. You just Alex's face.
Yeah, you're putting a lot of pressure because Kazakus could even get you one of the damage
Yeah.
spells coming up, so you can just like go for like a 10-8 damage spell as well.
With block up, he's already like very safe. It's unfortunate because an auctioneer or a questing adventure in the early game would have really sealed it for Bill. But this present like traditionally is a very bad matchup for the rogue.
Oh, even with the
Oh
Pyroblast, I mean that is just so much
yes,
burst. I think. What do you think? You could go here like Kazakus here first, maybe, or you just
he's got a lot of
what do you
time.
think?
I think you just volcanic potion, ping, and Kazakus.
It feels good.
Yeah,
You know, you put out the there's no way the block's gonna come out next turn most likely.
yeah.
You might think that might be Leroy in hand based on like what's been going on, but if you've really been keeping track, you know that's you
That's
know
all.
the coin. So that's one of the options, but at 9 you just feel super safe.
There's also the flexibility of ice block. Like he could just sit there and wait the entire
Wait,
time
did
until.
you go for
Did he
a
go?
one mana
I did,
spell?
oh, he went for one mana for
To
the
put
lightning bolt.
interesting. So you wanted to do it this turn.
No, I think he just wanted the damage this turn so that he could ping, I believe.
That's still gonna be it.
Yeah.
You know, HC really coming back there. It was just a matchup that once we saw the stabilization there, like once he stabilized, Bill couldn't do anything. Bill unfortunately like made that big Edwin, and then the polymorph just came down and ruined his day.
Yeah. We see a lot of stumbling, but again, that's the nature of the tournament series. So you can always bring back the series if you just take a breather, think about your plays, think about what you want to do
And,
and line up.
and I think what that series showed us, I think you know we saw Bill play much better, I think, than HC. I mean, I think
Absolutely.
that's a fair thing to say, but we saw the lineup and the
Yes.
prep
Yes.
before, and HC's lineup really stacked well up against that rogue.
Yeah. The rogue was quite underwhelming versus a lot of the Reno lock decks, and I think that really shows. Like sometimes you can win the game before the tournament even begins.
Exactly. All right, guys, we are going to take another short break. We'll be right back with another awesome match for New York's Tavern Hero. See you in just a few.
See you guys later.